A hearty welcome everyone to our new video. In the previous video, we saw the history of the road from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv and its night views. We saw in the last video that this was a very small road that was widened to accommodate a church bell and later become the most important road in the Israel after the birth of the nation of Israel. In this video, we can see the landscape, crops, and greenery on the side of the road. In general, the climate in Israel is a bit different, with a climate that is fairly hot in the summer and fairly cool in the winter. They use modern buses for public transportation. All buses are air conditioned. The way we travel is from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. There are good quality roads here. On the road we are on now, and in many cities there is a lot of work going on to improve public transportation. And despite the war, there is no interruption to such work. Although it is a war, it is not known whether it is the security they feel or the eagerness to finish the work that they have not stopped these works. The views on the side of the road may reflect the weather here, but the farmlands show us things that are just the opposite because they have developed agriculture here by challenging the climate here. They developed many innovative farming methods according to the climate here. If we study the development here, the first thing we should look at is the agriculture here, because through a long period of experimentation they become the most important agricultural country in the Middle East, and they cultivate gold in the desert. If we are looking through the agricultural industry in Israel, we can see a lot of things there, as well as saying that Israel is a country that has invented innovative farming methods that can be modeled on the world. Agriculture in Israel is a highly developed industry. Israel is an exporter of fresh produce and leader in agricultural technologies. The southern one half of Israel is desert, and irrigation is required for growing crops. The northern one half is more conducive to rain-fed agriculture. According to the World Bank, 29.7% of Israel is agricultural land. The shortage of water is a constraint. In 2008, agriculture represented 2.5 of GDP and 3.6 of exports. Israel is not self-sufficient in growing food. In 2021, Israel's agricultural imports totaled 8,791 million and agriculture exports totaled $2,445 million. Grains, oilseeds, meat, coffee, cocoa, and sugar were among the imports. Israel is home to two unique type of agricultural communities, the kibbutz and moshav, which develops as Jews from all over the world immigrated to the land that became the country of Israel and embarked on rural settlement. As of 2016, kibbutzim provided Israel with about 40% of its agricultural produce. Most of Israel's agriculture is based on cooperative principles that evolved in the early 20th century. Two unique forms of agricultural settlements, the kibbutz, a collective community in which the means of production are communally owned and each member's work benefits all, and the moshav, a farming village where each family maintains its own household and works its own land, while purchasing and marketing are conducted cooperatively. Both communities provided a means not only to raise the dream of the pioneers to have rural communities based on social equality, cooperation, and mutual aid, but also to gain agricultural output in a productive means. Today, between kibbutzim and moshavim, 76% of the country's fresh produce is output, as well as many processed food production. Israeli farms relied mostly on Palestinian workers up until the 1990s, until violence following the first Palestinian Intifada and the resulting crackdown on Palestinian workers' freedom to work outside the occupied terrorists. Israel began to look at other areas for workers. A 2021 Knesset study relying on data compiled on 2020 found that about 75,200 people were employed in the agriculture sector, with about 49% of them Israeli, 32 international, and 19 Palestinian. By 2023, there were between 30,000 to 40,000 Thai workers working in the Israeli agricultural sector and governed by strict rules, such as being unable to raise families in the country and short contracts. After the 7 October 2023 attacks by Hamas, many Thai nationals returned to their home country due to many being killed and held hostage in the attacks. This created a vacuum that caused large losses for the farmers and a large influx of about 20,000 workers from Sri Lanka that were replaced in December 2023. In November of 2023, the Malawi government made an arrangement by Israeli companies to ferry Malawian farm workers to work farms in Israel. Due to diversity of the land and climate across the country, Israel can grow a wide range of crops. Field crops grown in the country include wheat, sorghum, and corn. On 2,15,000 hectares of land, these sorts of crops are grown. 1,56,000 hectares of which are winter crops. Fruit and vegetables grown include citrus, avocados, kiwi fruit, guavas, and mangoes, grapes from orchards located on the Mediterranean coastal plain. Tomatoes, cucumbers, pepper, and zucchini are grown commonly throughout the country. Melons are grown during winter months in the valley. Subtropical areas in the country produce bananas and dates, while in the northern hills apples, pears, and cherries are grown. Furthermore, grape vineyards are founded across the country, as the country's wine industry has developed to become a world player. In 1997, 107 million worth of cotton was grown in Israel, with most of this sold in advance on the futures market. The crop is grown on 28,570 hectares of land, all of which is drip irrigated. 5.5 tons per hectare of raw cotton is averaged for the Akala crop. The Pima crop averaged 5 tons per hectare, which are yield among the highest in the world. The development of modern agriculture was closely tied to the Zionist movement and Jewish immigration to the Ottoman Palestine. Beginning in the late 19th century, Jews mostly purchased land near the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. Most Palestinian Arabs lived in the highlands and were subsistence farmers growing wheat and barley on rain-fed land. Both Jewish and Arab farmers initiated growing commercial and exportable crops such as citrus and vegetable in the late 19th century. The agriculture near the coast required drainage of swamps and eradication of malaria, but the land was wonderfully rich and fertile. A 1943 survey concluded that 4,35,700 hectares of land in Ottoman Palestine was cultivated and that 24.9% of the cultivated land was owned by the European sector. Rain-fed cropland made up 91.7% of the total and 83% was irrigated. The Jewish residents of new country of Israel gained much farmland when 7 lakh Arab Palestinians were forced off the land inside the borders of Israel after the 1948 Palestinian War. By 2001, 56.5% of the cropped land in Israel was irrigated. Since independence, the production of export and commercial crops expanded while the acreage developed to cultivation of wheat and barley declined. Water shortage is a major problem. Rain falls between September and April, with an uneven distribution across the country, from 700 mm in the north to less than 20 mm in south. Annual renewable water resources are about 1.6 billion cubic meters, 75% of which is used for agriculture. Most of Israel's freshwater sources have been consequently joined to the national water carrier, a network of pumping stations, reservoirs, canals, and pipelines that transfers water from the north to the south. The importance of agriculture in Israel's economy has fallen over time, accounting for decreasing values of GDP. In 1979, it accounted for just under 6% of GDP, 5.1% by 1985, and today 2.5. In 1995, there were 43,000 farm units with an average size of 13.5 hectares. 19.8% of these were smaller than 1 hectares. 75.7 were 1 to 9 hectares in size. 3.3% were between 10 and 49 hectares. 0.4% were between 50 and 190 hectares, and 0.8% were larger than 200 hectares. Of the 3,80,000 hectares under cultivation in 1995, 20.8% was under permanent cultivation and 79.2% under rotating cultivation. Farm units includes 1,60,000 hectares used for activities other than cultivation. Cultivation was based mainly in the northern coastal plain, the hills of the interior, and the upper Jordan Valley. We can see here that even though it is a big road, as it is said that the road is full, the cars are flowing on both sides. I think a major reason for Israel's rapid growth is the developments in their infrastructure. I understand that the Israeli government has been paying attention to infrastructure development from the time it was found, and that they have succeeded. Israel has a well-developed road network spanning the entire country. This network is undergoing constant improvement and expansion to accommodate the rising number of vehicles on its roadways, reduce commute times, and facilitate the outward deconcentration of residential, business, and government centers north and south of the country's center. The National Roads Authority of Israel, founded in 2003. The National Roads Authority of Israel plans, develops, and maintains most of the intercity roads in Israel. This authority also builds and plans interchange, bridges, etc. The road length that is under control of the authority is approximately 6,500 km long. Some intercity routes are built by concessionaries and private companies in exchange for payment from the government. Outside of the responsibility of the National Roads Authority, while others are developed and maintained by regional or municipal road authorities. The National Roads Authority of Israel took over the responsibility for most of Israel's intercity roads from the Public Works Department in 2003. Modern road development in the country began during the British Mandate of Palestine. In 1921, the Mandate government founded an engineering branch for carrying out infrastructure projects. This later became the PWD, which later evolved into the National Roads Authority of Israel. In ancient Israel, the development of an unpaved yet extensive road system has been attributed to efforts under King Solomon. Roads in Israel are categorized as national roads, intercity roads, regional roads, and local roads. National roads numbered with one digit, example Route 1, it is Jerusalem to Tel Aviv road. And intercity roads numbered with two digit, example Highway 10. The regional roads numbered with three digit, example Route 293. And finally, the local roads numbered with four digit. And there are odd numbers and even numbers. The even numbered roads run from south to north, example Highway 2, Tel Aviv, Haifa. And odd numbered roads go from west to east, example Highway 5, the Mediterranean Sea coast to Samaria. As a general rule, for highways with the same number of digits, numbers rise from south to north and from west to east. Thus, highways 12 and 13 are located in the far south of Israel, whereas highways 98 and 99 meet near Mount Hermon in the far northeast of the country. There are some exceptions to this. For example, Highway 1 runs mostly north of Highway number 3. And now we can see the international rankings of Israel. In agriculture, The Economist ranked 19th out of 113 countries for Global Food Security Index. In economy, International Money Fund GDP normal 2022 ranked 28 out of 216 countries. International Money Fund GDP per capita 2022 ranked 14th out of 192 countries. Bloomberg LP's Innovation Index 2019 ranked 5th out of 95 countries. Observatory of Economic Complexity MIT Economic Complexity Index Trade 2021 ranked 20th out of 133 countries. The Wall Street Journal and the Heritage Foundation Index of Economic Freedom 2022 ranked 43rd out of 177 countries. When we look through these things, one thing we can realize is that even enough Israel is a relatively new country, they have managed the rank with the leading countries in a number of ways. We can see that the government here treats its citizens well and provides them with everything they need. Compared to many other leading countries, Israel's growth has been achieved by overcoming many challenges. In the same way, if we see the roads, we know that Israel is a place full of traffic. As the traffic density increases, the authorities take care to improve the quality and capacity of their roads. Even if it is a well carried road, no blocks or anything like that can be seen anywhere. Compared to many other countries, there were many opportunities where road development should have been hindered in many ways, but they went ahead without bowing their heads. As a result, they presented to the world a very good road network as we see it. According to Israel's climate and geography, they built very sturdy and beautiful roads. Israel's geography is very hilly and mountainous, and they built their roads and so on accordingly. Similarly, we know that a part of Israel is a desert, including the city of Elath, which is located in the desert, and the roads there are built according to that climate. Elath is a city located on the shores of the Red Sea in the far south of Israel. The city of Elath is a long way from Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. The closest Israeli city to Elath is Beersheba. The city of Beersheba is located about 250 kilometers from Elath. And the Beersheba city also located in Negev desert. We know that there are many old cities in Israel, two of which are Beersheba and Elath. But Elath seems to be a city that has faded away in the cycle of time. But historians believe it was an inhabited area from ancient times. But Beersheba is a city where many events are believed to have taken place, including in the Bible. One of the important events is that Abraham, the first father who came through the desert, dug 7 wells for water here. The Hebrew word Beersheba means 7 wells because of long distance between Beersheba and Elath and the sparsely populated areas in between. The road is less developed, but a less important road connects these cities. Northern and central Israelis travel to Elath mainly by air. And Highway 12 is a single carriageway road in South District of Israel. It surrounds the mountains of Elath from the north and west, and it is connects Elath to Highway 10 and Highway 40, which lead towards central Israel. Highway 10 continues north towards the Gaza Strip, whereas Highway 40 proceeds to Beersheba via Mipse Ramon. The Highway 40 is a north-south intercity road in Israel at 302 km long. It is the second longest highway in Israel after Highway 90. The highway runs from Farsaba in the center of Israel to the Arabah in the south, serving as a main connection between central Israel and Beersheba. The Arabah is a loosely defined geographic area in the Negev district, south of the Dead Sea Basin, which forms part of the border between Israel to the west and Jordan to the east. The old meaning, which was in use up to around the early 20th century, covered almost the entire length of what today is called the Jordan Rift Valley, running in a north-south orientation between the southern end of the Sea of Galilee and the northern tip of the Gulf of Aqaba. Of the Red Sea at Aqaba, Elath. This included the Jordan River Valley between the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea itself, and what today is commonly called the Arava Valley. The contemporary use of the term is restricted to this southern section alone. And the Highway 10 is a road in the south district of Israel. It is one of the longest roads in Israel, extending for nearly the entire border of Israel with Egypt from the Gaza Strip in the northern to Sayarim Junction in the south. Under a military security advisory, its entire 113-mile length is almost permanently off limits to civilian traffic. The southern part of Israel is all of hot, dry and desert. But if you go to the north, the climate is the opposite. In northern Israel, the temperature sometimes drops to -8 to 10 degrees. Mount Hermon is covered with snow in winter and is a famous place for winter tourism. We know that Israel is a small country, and even though it is not far away, the climate here is different. If you go to the south, you will see a weather, and if you go to the north, you will see opposite weather. In the winter season, we can usually see snow on the roads in the Mount Hermon area. The Mount Hermon is a mountain cluster constituting the southern end of the anti-Lebanon mountain range. Its summit straddles the border between Syria and Lebanon, and at 2,814 meters above sea level is the highest point in Syria. On the top, in the United Nations buffer zone between Syria and Israeli occupied territories, is the highest permanently manned UN position in the world, known as Hermon Hotel. Located at 2,814 meters altitude, we have now entered the most controversial historical city in the world, Jerusalem. I am now passing by the fortune of touching the soil of that historic city, where many battles have been fought and generations have had to drink their blood. This soil was touched by the feet of historical figures like Jesus Christ, the soil where the tears of many kings fell. I too have been lucky enough to tread on that soil. We are now passing through the new city bus station outside the old city of Jerusalem. We are now on the outskirts of the ever expanding city of Jerusalem, a city that has been the scene of many disputes, a city that even countries keep and comment on. The city has been the scene of much bloodshed in modern times, even in the early 20th century. During the formation of the State of Israel after World War II, fierce fighting between the two factions took place here. Old Jerusalem area was occupied by Jordan, and New Jerusalem was occupied by Israel. Jews were expelled from the Old Jerusalem area and Muslims from the New Jerusalem area, leaving many destitute. After this event, the outer part of the old city of Jerusalem, the part that was in the hands of Israel, began to develop in a modern way. That city grew and become the capital of the nation of Israel today. Although initially reluctant, many countries have since recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. We are now entering to the Jerusalem bus terminal. Every passenger can enter it only after going through strict security checks. Anyway, this bus terminal is built as multiple floors. The bus has stopped here to let people down, and people started getting off, and we also got off. I am the last one to get off. People walk forward to that part of the security check, and from here the entrance to the bus terminal is also through that door. Today, however, it is quite busy, and we can see quite a few people heading towards the entrance. I will be coming to you soon with more detailed videos of the city of Jerusalem and Israel. Please support and subscribe.